Evaluate or time to evaluate while the ed session is going on. Ride a cock horse to Banbury Cross to see a fine lady upon a white horse with rings on her fingers and bells on her toes. She shall have music wherever she goes. Our speaker tonight is doing Project 1, a storytelling. Her objectives is to tell a folk tale that is entertaining and enjoyable for a specific age group to use. Imagery and voice to enhance the tale. Her time is 7 to 9 minutes. And the title is The Ugly Duckling. So let's welcome Linda Fraser. Thank you.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. It was a beautiful spring day in the country. Sitting next to a babbling brook was a mother duck. She was sitting on her little nest of eggs, waiting for the eventuality of her brood of eggs to hatch. She couldn't wait. Neighbors would come by, other ducks, of course, from the neighborhood, to come just to see how things were going, keep her company a little bit. And, of course, one of the neighbors that came by, the town gossip duck, she came and she saw the nest and she says, well, so how's it going in there? And the mother duck says, oh yeah, well, it's just going fine. And she peered over and she noticed that one of the eggs was slightly larger than the other eggs in the nest. Right away, she says, oh, you'll want to get rid of that right away. That one's not going to do you any good, because I bet you anything that's a turkey egg in there. My cousin, she had one of them turkey eggs. That thing was useless. It just grew up to make a lot of noise, couldn't think for itself, couldn't swim. So just give it to me and I'll take care of it for you. Mother, but no, she said, this is my brood. And she got very, very protective. She said, just go away. Leave me to myself. So she just hung her down a little bit closer because she was really wanting to get these eggs hatched. And soon enough, it started happening. It started to stir under there, so she got up and she could hear them. Tap, 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 tap. And one by one, the eggs opened up and emerged the fluffy, yellow little balls of fur. 3 of them, but there was still one big egg. She was kind of curious herself, and she just couldn't wait for this egg to hatch. It didn't take much longer, and sure enough, here it again. Tap, 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 tap. Egg cracked, started to open up, and rather than a fluffy yellow ball, a big, huge white ball rolled out of the egg and onto the ground. And everybody stopped and looked and went, oh, ow, ow. Doesn't look like a duck. It's kind of homely looking. No, it's going to be, oh, okay, that's enough of that. And they all went away, leaving Mother Duck to her new brood. And she thought, well, you know what? Maybe he is homely looking, but he's mine. I'm going to take care of him. She decided it was time to teach them to swim, because she just wanted to show that neighborhood gossip that this one, no turkey, hers could swim. So off they went to the brook. They were going to go into the water, and you could hear behind her, chirp, 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 honk. Hey, what was that? She continued on her way. Chirp, 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 honk. Oh, she was mortified. Everybody was staring at her, and she thought, well, he's kind of homely looking, but now he's starting to embarrass me. I don't know about this. But she thought, well, he's mine, I gotta keep him. And then they would try to play around in the water, And what started happening was all the other neighbor ducks were just making fun of him. They were taunting him. They kept pointing and laughing at this funny looking duck. Other birds in the sky would come along and swoop down and almost get him, and he just never knew what to do. And he was really getting an inferiority complex. Poor thing. Eventually his brothers and sisters wouldn't even play with him because all the other kids were too busy taunting and they wanted to play with the other kids, so it started leaving him alone. So he just kind of went off in his own little merry way, playing in the water by himself, spent months just on his own in the water. And eventually one day he looked down and saw his reflection in the water and went, oh, yeah, I see. I'm kind of homely looking. And months went by, a little guy all by himself. He eventually decided that he was just going to go on further down the brook, see what was down there. Because we had passed through spring, we passed through summer. It was getting to fall now. And he decided that, it's kind of cold. Can't really go back home because nobody wants me there. I better go find myself somewhere warm. So he did. Got out of the water and off into the forest, started wandering around. He found himself a nice little cabin. And he thought, oh, can he go in there? It looks like it's kind of warm in there. So he did. And he spent his winter inside the cabin, all by himself, but all nice and cozy. Figured, I don't care if my mom's around. I don't need those other ducks. I don't need anybody else. I'm going to be just fine. Winter was pretty long, all by himself in the cabin. So eventually when spring came along, he thought, well, maybe it's time I ventured out into the world. Because, you know, even though they were always picking on me, negative attention's better than no attention at all. So, he decided it's time to venture off into the world. So, he left the safety of the cabin, went on his merry way, walking through the forest. Not long after, he saw in front of him there was a pond. He went, water! That's what I've been missing. This is great. So we're running off into the water, splashing around. He's playing with himself in the water. And out in the distance, he heard noises. And he looked around, and he saw other big white ducks just like himself. And, oh, haven't seen any of them before. They were motioning him to come over. Come on, come on. He's kind of thinking, well, maybe a trap. Yeah, I think it's a trap. They're not really want to play with me. No, because I'm just a homely looking duck. And they're not going to want to play with me. So I'm just going to go off over here. He went off, played by himself again a little bit longer. Then he decided that this is kind of crazy. This is nuts. There's poor me. Yeah, so I'm ugly. Whatever. They're just going to have to deal with it. So he figured that he would just start spending some time and he would go off and he would start being closer to the other animals. And he found that nobody was picking on him anymore. Oh, this is kind of special. I'm not quite used to this. I don't know what to do about this. They really want to play with me? Maybe they do. After days and days of this, he got close enough to them to actually interact with them. And he couldn't figure out what was going on. And they were talking to him, and he was being nice to him. And he asked one of them, and he said, well, why is everybody being so nice to me? And they just, well, hey buddy, you're one of us. I said, what do you mean I'm one of you? I'm a duck. I'm one of you. And they said, oh, no, you should take a look at yourself. And he did. He looked down, saw his reflection in the water, and realized that he had grown up to be a beautiful swan. Round of applause.